So, I mean, would you say your parents were your main mentors, or was there kind of like a maybe somebody at school or a coach or teacher? I mean, or maybe somewhere outside. Do you like aside from your parents? Was there a mentor that really impacted you early on?
So there was actually it was my granda. So like my granddad to some people, um he was the manager of a fish factory, right? But when you're young, you don't really know the difference between a manager and an owner of a company. And so in my mind, I always thought that he owned the fish factory, and I always loved it. I always loved the fact that he owned this, and I was always really interested right from the earliest of ages. And he got me into stamp collecting when I was 4 or 5 years old. And in my second year of primary school, so I was about 6 years old. I started selling stuff in the school, and it was off the back of my granda said to me that if you can build collections of things, they hold a lot more value. It was the whole point. It's what he drilled into me about stamp collecting. And so I started collecting Power Rangers and all sorts from cereal boxes, and then bringing them into school and selling the collection to anybody that would give me money for it. I got my hand slapped for that a few times in high school, but it actually created, a lot of entrepreneurial stories throughout even primary school. Like long before I even got to high school, I was uh, knocking on doors, cleaning cars at the weekend. Because we were right by the sea. I don't know if you've ever seen wilks before. They're like a delicacy in Spain, and I would go there when the tide goes out and pick these whelks, these tiny wee shellfish, and then go and sell them to the fish factory at night as well. So I was always looking for ways to earn money and create my own work. And when I look back, I can't really remember my mindset when I was 5 years old, but it makes complete sense that it was looking up to my granda, thinking he's created his own work here, and also probably, being in a household where, again, we were happy, but there wasn't a lot of money there, and my gran and granda did really well. And so like better cars, bigger house, going on holidays all the time, and things like that. So there was probably an element of looking up to him in that sense as well that sort of drove me to sort of seek out how I can create my own work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you talk about that, because I tell people all the time that our job as leaders is to inspire other people. And even though your grandfather probably didn't realize what he was doing, he was just being a good grandfather, right? He wasn't realizing that he was actually planting these little seeds in your mind at 5 years old and 10 years old and whatever. And he was inspiring you to raise to that next level, right? Maybe you just, for whatever reason, where you were born and kind of the situation of your parents, maybe you didn't have a lot of the means. You had the happiness and the love, but you didn't have the means. But your grandfather inspired you to take your life to that next level. And that's, I would imagine that has a lot to do with why you're such a success today. And so, you sounds like you've always been trying to sell things, right? I mean, you're always been a sales person, which I love, by the way. We talk a lot about sales here, and the audience, all of us, at least 95% of us probably are in the sales entrepreneurial business arena. And so, do you feel like you kind of were that you just always were looking to sell something and build something? Is that kind of what happened to you?
Yeah, it's just always been ingrained in me. And I don't ever know how to answer the question that comes up quite a lot, which is, are entrepreneurs born entrepreneurs? So I don't know if until the age of 5 I was an entrepreneur at heart, or if it was actually just something that happened in my life that started the momentum there. But I just found so much happiness through it, and it weirdly wasn't about the money at any point, really. I loved the gamification of it. probably that's why I'm obsessed with like board games, quiz shows and stuff. Like anything that's gamified, I'm interested in. And with business, it's just the ultimate game, right? I mean, you're literally playing with, you know, your own life and people around you. How hard you work ultimately, you know, will be a big part of getting a business off the ground. But then your creativity and what you can do within the game is what is really going to, you know, bring out the results on the other side of it. And that's just driven me non. So I even went to university. I studied sport and exercise science because it was easy. I knew sport and exercise science because I was interested in fitness and sport and everything was going to be the easy thing to go and do so that I could actually just have fun whilst I was there. I always knew I was going to start a business on the other end of it. I knew that there was no chance I was going to be a personal trainer or a PE teacher or anything like that. I knew I was going to be going and doing something completely different. So I was at university just to have a good time, and I ended up just starting club nights.
Okay.
And I never went to class at all. I just literally promoted club nights for 7 days, and then my club night would be on a Thursday night, and we had the most popular club night in the city, and it was great. Loved it.
And
So yeah.
you were making money like putting on these club nights. Is that kind of
Oh
how
yeah.
so you actually put on, so you started these club nights and you were charging people to get in? Is that kind of how it worked?
Yeah, so the club nights, the way that they work, and it's a really really good model. Even when I moved away after university, I did this in the next city that I went to as well, which is club nights randomly aren't usually ran by the owners of the club. So the club nights will usually get an outside promoter to come in, and typically what the scenario is that the promoter has to do all the branding, has to do all the marketing spend, has to hire the people to do flyering. And if you did Facebook ads back then, you would be paying for the Facebook ads, but you would take everything on the door. So if you charge $10 to get in, every $10 that came in, that was yours. But they would make everything on the bar. And you would keep your position as the promoter for that night as long as you were keeping the place busy. So if you keep that place busy, you would make a lot of money on that door, and they would make a lot of money on the bar, and everybody would be happy.
Love that, man. So yeah, you're the real deal, man. I mean, you from early on. I just think it's interesting the fact that you didn't like going to school. You wanted to take the easiest classes. So that brings an interesting topic. I mean, do you think, like, well, do you have any children? Do you have any kids?
No, not
No
yet.
kids, no kids. But so when you do have kids, are you going to recommend, let's just say they're a kid just like you, okay? Would you recommend that they go to college?
I wouldn't recommend it. My thoughts on university and things are that it's good for two different things. If there's a job that they're passionate about in which you need the degree, then obviously I think that it's a great route to go down. My wife's a veterinary nurse. She had to do the degree to be able to practice. So for very, very select things, becoming a lawyer, a doctor, if they're passionate about that, I won't be going, hey, this is quite a good earning and it's very safe and you should go and try and be a doctor. It's if they want to do that, I would be more than happy to, you know, push them towards university. That's the route you need to go down to achieve your goal. Go do it. The second thing that I think is good for university is the amount of fun you have, the life experiences, the people you meet, and the fact that you have to go out on your own. Like if you've been at home for your whole life, you have to go out on your own, fend for yourself, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself whilst you're at university. So I think it's good for those two things, but for 98%, 99% of the classes that are available, unnecessary. I've had tons of marketing graduates come to me and ask me if they can work underneath me and work for free and get involved in our business. I stopped even entertaining it after a good while because I was getting into conversation with people who some of them actually had digital marketing, so not even just marketing in general, digital marketing degrees. They'd studied for 4 years and they'd never ran a Facebook ad before, and I was like, this is marketing today. you need to be able to do this stuff. And they're talking about like billboards and magazine ads, and like referencing like really famous brands and the stuff that they do. And I'm like, yeah, they don't need call to actions in their adverts, because they're a straight up brand now. Coca-Cola doesn't have to have a button that you can click on to buy a can of Coke. And so, the stuff that you'll learn at university, if you're an entrepreneur at heart, if love the idea of having complete freedom, go out there and just build something, make it happen for yourself.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.